Welcome to Turn to 1895. Here's a scoop on the Victorian era.
It's Richard Clifferson here with important news for sailors. On November 17, 1869, the Suez has opened for all to navigate. This is good news for sailors because they will no longer have to go the dangerous route underneath Cape Horn in South America. And it goes against a traditional clipper ship route. But now here's an interview with a clipper ship captain. Hello, it's Richard Clifferson here with an exclusive interview with a clipper ship captain named
Seamate Grant.
So you're a clipper ship captain?
Yes, I am.
How's it feel you're no longer taking part in the accidental slaughter of countless sailors?
You know, pretty good.
How do you feel about the Suez Canal?
Well, it's a great invention of man, practical and safe.
Have you ever used it personally?
You know, I'm actually going to take it out in a couple of days.
Do you think that the Clippers will ever be a high school mascot or something?
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought so. Well, there you have it, folks, of London from the clipper ship captain himself. It's a great way to go.
Thank you, Richard. Now here's Garrett Wilkinson.
Thanks, Tommy. I'm standing here by the waterfront where it appears many shady opium dens have been opened up. The opium dens house many people of unfortunate background, but also include British sailors. Gentlemen, people of the higher class have actually also been seen coming here to forget about their troubles and forget about the past or any misdeeds they may have committed. Some of these including Mr. Dorian Gray. Although many rumors have been spread about Dorian Gray, whether or not these are true or not has not been confirmed. British sailors, such as James Vane, come here and attack many of the higher class. It is unknown as to why, but Dorian Gray himself had been attacked by a sailor coming out of an opium den not long ago, although the fight was deteriorated once they fell into the light for some strange, unknown reason. Authorities shall be launching a raid against the opium den soon as evidence builds. Back to you, Tommy.
Thank you, Garrett. Now let's break off to some cultural news with fashion.
Our fashion comprises of the various styles and trends in British culture that has emerged throughout the years. With the new addition of the lock-stitch sewing machine, fashion has begun to flourish. We're now able to create new seams and trims that have not been able to be done before by hand. The recent rise in economy has allowed for more elaborate clothing to be made and purchased. Recently, we've seen that men's clothing has become much more comfortable. The lowering of necklines and slightly easier fit has resulted in men dressing more correct for each occasion. The men who are wealthier are seen in more colorful, ravish clothing than those who are in the lower class that dress much more modest. Three-piece suits are growing in popularity, as are shortened knee-length coats. What has not changed in the last years is how men are wearing their hair. Most men have short haircuts with various forms of facial hair. For example, full beards, mustaches, and sideburns. Women also wear a wide variety of clothes nowadays. The sewing machine invention introduced very elaborate decor. Women are still wearing very tight bodice dresses with higher necklines. Blouses are also worn, usually silk. Full skirts are supported by many types of petticoats. Starting to see petticoats made of horsehairs and stiff padding. For evening events, bodices are low, off the shoulder, and are covered with berthas. And that is what we're seeing in fashion today.
Breaking news. This just in, a sailor has been shot and killed in a hunting accident. Here is Sydney with the story.
The soldier that has been shot and killed is James Vane. He was a beloved son, brother, and friend of people his entire life. James Vane was accidentally shot by a member of a shooting party. He was in the bushes and was thought to be a graceful hare. The hunters were Dorian Gray, the Duchess, and the Duchess's brother. In an interview with the Duchess's brother, he states that the shooting was an accident. James Vane was in the bushes and was thought to be a hare, which was mostly popular in the area that they were shooting in. With this tragedy comes the remembrance of James Vane's sister Sybil Vane, who was an actress who committed suicide just 18 years ago. Shooting in countries such as England, Scotland, and Ireland has been a tradition for several hundred years. Hunting weekends known as Saturday to Monday house parties are known to be legendary. The rich and privileged are known to be hunting on horseback. A shooting game for the royalty and aristocrats is known as pheasant shooting. As in all sports, there are certain skills and techniques that a shooter must possess. Safety is a major aspect of shooting as well. The shooters must always have an idea of what they are looking for. Also, they must know and be very familiar to the weapons that they are using. When shooting, you must always look before you shoot, just in case you shoot something that you're not supposed to. The shooting and killing of James Vane brings up the important topic of gun safety so this tragic event never happens again. Back to you, Tommy.
Given the recent tragedy with the death of James Vane, let's take a look back 18 years ago with the suicide of his sister, Sybil Vane.
As many of you know, recently James Vane, a sailor, has been shot and killed. The Vane family has experienced a lot of tragedy. Just 18 years ago, James Vane's older sister, Sybil, committed suicide. At just 17 years old, Sybil seemed to have a good life ahead of her. She was an actress located in a theater in downtown London, and her death came as a shock to everyone. Sybil was a dedicated actress and seemed to have a lot of potential. The night of her last performance, though, people reported it to be a complete failure, and most people left before the show was even over. It was not until she killed herself that people thought that it was something other than a sickness that had been wrong that night. Sybil's mother said Sybil went back to her dressing room, stating she forgot something. When Sybil didn't come back, Mrs. Vane went to look for her and found her lying dead in her dressing room, having taken some type of poison. It was reported Sybil seemed happy the weeks before her death due to the introduction of a man in her life. His real identity is unknown. Sybil only ever called him Prince Charming. She was excited about their engagement, and her Prince Charming even talked about making her a famous actress. The night of her death, they were seen together. It was not until after her suicide that Sybil's mother realized that Sybil seemed disheartened after he left. Her Prince Charming never did offer his condolences, and to this day, his identity is unknown. Her now deceased brother had spent most of his life searching for this Prince Charming in hopes of avenging Sybil. We have Mrs. Vane with us here today, and she has agreed to answer a few questions. Mrs. Vane, what are your thoughts on Prince Charming's involvement in your daughter's suicide?
It's his fault. He made Sybil so happy, and only that kind of love can push a young girl to suicide. I am sorry that James never got to kill said Prince Charming.
Yes, it is sad. That's all the time we have. Thanks for answering our question. I am sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Rumors have been circulating about the recent disappearance of beloved painter Basil Hallward. Here's Ezekiel Chesterfield with the story.
As of the 10th of November, it appears the lovely painter Basil Hallward has gone missing. It was first brought to attention after Basil did not turn up from his midnight train to Paris, of course. He appeared very excited about this particular journey. He had told his friends he was to leave England for Paris for 6 months. An amazing idea for a painting, of course. He wanted to complete it, and he was supposed to go at midnight. It is likely that he was murdered, but let us not jump to conclusions, of course. If you would follow me, please. To truly dive deeper into the mystery, we are going to the lovely mansion of Dorian Gray. This is the young lad's home. We're here to ask him a few questions. Dorian! I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about Basil's disappearance.
Basil. He did leave for Paris, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Well, he has not turned up, of course. So, would you say that Basil would never have missed this trip?
Basil was a dear friend. He would never have missed this trip.
Well, we later found out that he came here on the night of the 9th. Is that true?
Yes, he did. I invited him into my home for a brief moment.
Did he leave?
Yes, he left promptly at 11:30. You can confirm with Francis, the doorman.
I'm not so sure. I'll have to ask him, but would you say that you would have done anything to him at all?
Now, why would you insinuate that? Basil was a dear friend.
I guess we have overstayed our company, of course. With that, we can say that Dorian has nothing to do with Basil's disappearance. And now, finally, we have Tommy with his update on the Crimean War.
Alright, I'm here to bring you an update on the ongoing Crimean War. Right now, our country is involved in the war due to the invasion by Russia. Our country is fighting hard and well with our multiple soldiers to help bring home a W for Britain. Thank you for watching Turn to 1895 News. We'll see you next week.